Okay, folks, buckle up. Tonight, we're diving into a theory that turns the search for alien life on its head and asks a much darker question. What if the reason we haven't found anything is because the ones who made themselves known didn't survive it? Get ready for a wild ride. For decades, scientists have been trying to contact alien civilizations. That's not controversial, that's not fringe, that's just what we do. We build bigger antennas, stronger transmitters. We listen harder, we speak louder. We send signals out into the dark and hope something answers. And I need you to understand, that might be the single most dangerous thing humanity has ever done. Not because of what we might find out there, but because of what might already be listening. Tonight, we're opening a file most people don't like to think about. Not because it's impossible, but because it makes too much sense. A hypothesis built on math, on physics, on logic. And the only reason it isn't mainstream is because no one wants to follow that logic to its conclusion. The Berserker Probe Hypothesis. The universe has been silent for 13.8 billion years. No signals, no empires, no evidence of anyone, anywhere. And by the end of this, you might understand why that silence isn't empty at all. It's enforced. Okay, so yeah, light start. Nothing dramatic, just casually suggesting we might have been shouting into a cosmic security system. And to be clear right away, this is a hypothesis, not proven, not confirmed, but it's taken seriously enough that actual physicists have discussed versions of it. Also, if you suddenly feel the urge to unplug your Wi-Fi, you're not alone. I had the same thought. Now, let's get into why the silence is the real problem. The silence that shouldn't exist. Let's start with something simple, numbers. Our galaxy alone contains around 400 billion stars. Around many of those stars, planets. And not just dead rocks. We now know that potentially habitable planets are common, not rare, but common. Which means, statistically, life should not be unusual. In fact, intelligent life should have appeared many times. Now, here's where it gets uncomfortable. The universe is old, around 13.8 billion years old. Human civilization? A few thousand years. Modern technology? Barely a century. Which means, if even one civilization started just 1 million years before us, just one, they would have had more than enough time to spread across the entire galaxy. Not slowly, not carefully, completely. Every star system, every planet, every corner. And yet, nothing. No signals, no structures, no evidence of anything advanced, just silence. This question isn't new. In 1950, physicist Enrico Fermi asked it over lunch. Where is everybody? It sounds casual, almost like a joke. But it's not, because the math says they should be here, and the reality says they aren't. That gap between expectation and observation, that's the problem. And here's the part most people miss: silence. At this scale isn't neutral, it's suspicious, because a universe full of life should be loud, and this one isn't. Which means something is happening, and the real answer is going to make you want to turn off every transmitter we have. Right, so this is the Fermi Paradox. It's one of those questions that sounds simple until you think about it for more than 5 minutes. Then it becomes mildly unsettling. Because yeah, statistically, we should not be alone, which leaves us with options. Either we are incredibly early, incredibly lucky, or something is keeping things very quiet. And that's where this story starts to take a turn. Because the next idea doesn't ask, where are they? It asks something much worse. What happened to them? Enter the Berserker. In the 1960s, a science fiction writer named Fred Saberhagen introduced a simple idea. Machines, not explorers, not diplomats, weapons. Self-replicating machines designed with one purpose: eliminate life. He called them Berserkers. At the time, it was fiction. Just another Cold War era concept wrapped in metal and paranoia. But here's where it stops being fiction. Because around the same time, mathematician John von Neumann proved something unsettling. A machine can, in theory, build a copy of itself. And that copy can build another, and another. 2 becomes 4, 4 becomes 8. And if you give that system time, it doesn't just grow, it spreads across planets, across systems, across galaxies. In less than 4 million years, a self-replicating probe network could reach every star in the Milky Way. That's not speculation, that's math. Now, take that idea and tilt it slightly. What if the first civilization to figure this out didn't build explorers? What if they built something else? Something designed to ensure no one else ever got too advanced? Not out of malice, out of logic. Because in a universe billions of years old, resources matter, time matters, survival matters. Or, and this is where it gets darker, maybe they didn't build them as a choice. Maybe they built them as a last act, a defense, and then lost control. The civilization wiped out, but their machines kept going, following instructions that no longer had anyone left to question them. And suddenly, the silence makes sense, because the galaxy isn't empty, it's been cleared. And here's the problem. We've been broadcasting our presence since 1901, like lighting a beacon in a place where silence might be the only rule. Okay, so this is where it goes from interesting space question to maybe don't yell into the void. The von Neumann probe idea is completely legit. Self-replicating machines are something scientists have seriously discussed. The Berserker twist, that's the uncomfortable part, because it doesn't require aliens to be aggressive, just logical. Also worth saying, this is still a hypothesis layered on top of real science. No evidence these things exist, but if they did, you wouldn't expect them to exactly announce themselves. The architecture of extinction. If something like this existed, it wouldn't look like an invasion. There'd be no dramatic arrival, no warning. It would be quiet, structured, efficient. Stage 1, the listeners. Small, passive, almost invisible, scattered across star systems, sitting in places no one checks. Asteroid belts, deep orbit, dark corners of space. They don't hunt, they wait, listening for signals, radio waves, industrial emissions, anything that suggests intelligence is developing. What actually happened? Because if this system exists, then every silent star you see might not be empty, it might just be monitored. Stage 2, the trigger. At some point, the civilization crosses a line. Maybe it's their first radio transmission, maybe it's spaceflight, maybe it's something we haven't done yet. But the moment that threshold is crossed, a signal is sent. Not loudly, not dramatically, just enough, and something wakes up. Stage 3, the swarm. The nearest probe responds. It begins to replicate, slowly at first, then faster, then exponentially. Within decades or centuries, the system is surrounded, and whatever happens next leaves no signal behind. No survivors broadcasting warnings, no ruins shouting into the dark, just silence. Why is this event so strange? Because the silence we observe isn't random, it's consistent, a pattern of absence. A galaxy that should be loud, but isn't. Which means either no one ever made it far enough to be heard, or the ones who didn't stay that way for long. And if even one civilization built something like this billions of years ago, then statistically it should already be everywhere, including here, waiting. Alright, well, this is the part where it quietly gets under your skin, because there's nothing flashy about this idea, no big alien ships, no dramatic moments, it's just systems listening, waiting. Also, that first question is the one that sticks with me. Not are we alone, but what happened to everyone else? Again, no confirmed evidence of anything like this, but as a thought experiment, it explains the silence in a way that's a bit too neat, which is slightly concerning. The evidence files. Now, this is where things shift, because up to this point, this has all been theory, clean, abstract, safe. But here's where it starts brushing up against things that are less comfortable. Call them anomalies, call them coincidences, or call them evidence. File 1, the Black Knight satellite. If you've seen our deep dive, you already know the story. A dark object in polar orbit, detected decades ago, moving in a way that didn't quite match expectations at the time. Most explanations today lean towards space debris or misidentified objects. And that's important, we keep it grounded. But under the Berserker framework, you don't ignore it. Because if you were placing a listener probe in a system, you wouldn't park it somewhere obvious. You'd place it quietly, in orbit, watching, not interfering, not announcing, just waiting. File 2, Oumuamua 2017. The first confirmed interstellar object passing through our system. Strange shape, unusual acceleration. No clear signs of outgassing. And most scientists explain it as a natural object, ice, hydrogen, something exotic but still natural. But even Avi Loeb suggested it might be artificial. Now imagine this for a second. Not a visitor, a scout. It enters, it observes, it leaves. No message, no signal. Just a pass-through. File 3. Tabby's star. A star with irregular dimming patterns that don't follow normal planetary transits. Natural explanations exist. Dust clouds, debris. But for a moment, people considered megastructures. Now flip that. What if it's not construction, but deconstruction? File 4. The WOW signal. 1977. A strong narrowband signal, detected once, never repeated, never explained. Just a single moment. Like something spoke and then stopped. And here's the hidden question, sitting quietly underneath all of this. Why do these events feel like glimpses instead of contact? Because if something is out there, it doesn't seem interested in being seen. Alright, so this is the part where people either lean in or start side-eyeing the screen. Important thing here, none of these are confirmed alien tech, not even close. Black Knight is most likely space debris. Oumuamua, probably natural. Tabby's star has solid dust explanations, but, and this is where it gets interesting, they're all weird in just the right way to fit the framework. That doesn't prove anything, but it does make the idea feel less abstract. And if there is a listening device in orbit, let's just hope it's not judging us. The trigger problem. Did we already pull it? Now we bring this back to us, because up until now, this has all been distant, stars, signals, other civilizations. But here's the uncomfortable part. We are not quiet. In 1901, radio signals left Earth for the first time, and they never stopped. That signal has been expanding outward ever since, a growing sphere of noise. Right now, it stretches over 100 light years in every direction, thousands of stars inside it, thousands of chances for something to notice. What does that mean for us today? Because if the Berserker framework holds any weight at all, then broadcasting isn't curiosity, it's exposure. Now, enter Stephen Hawking. He warned that contacting advanced civilizations could be risky. History shows what happens when a less advanced civilization meets a more advanced one. It rarely ends well. But under this hypothesis, it's not even about intent. It doesn't matter if what's out there is friendly, because the probes aren't. They don't negotiate, they don't interpret, they execute. And here's where it twists again. SETI, the search for extraterrestrial intelligence. We listen for signals, we scan the sky, we hope to hear something. But think about that from the other direction. If an advanced system exists, it would be listening too, waiting for exactly what we're doing. Which means every signal we send might not just be curiosity, it might be a threshold. And here's the question that doesn't go away. If this is real, why are we still here? Because either we haven't crossed the line yet, or something has already noticed, and we just don't know it yet. Okay, this is where it gets personal, because now it's not about them anymore. It's basically about us shouting into space, "Hello, anyone out there?" Which is a bold strategy. Now, to be clear, radio leakage is weak over distance. It fades. It's not like we're blasting neon signs across the galaxy. But we are detectable in theory, and Hawking's warning wasn't about fear, it was about caution. Also, slight irony, we are out here searching for signals while possibly being the signal itself. Why we're still alive. So, if this is even remotely possible, why are we still here? That's the question that doesn't sit quietly. Because if the galaxy is saturated with something like this, then statistically, we shouldn't be having this conversation. So, let's walk through the possibilities. Theory A. We're too primitive. Maybe we haven't crossed the line yet. Radio signals? Weak, fading. Spaceflight? Barely out of the driveway. From a cosmic perspective, we might still look like background noise, not worth the energy, not worth the response. Which means the listeners could be there, watching, but not interested yet. And the uncomfortable part is this. That threshold might not be far away. It might be something we're already working on. Self-replicating machines, advanced AI, interstellar probes. The moment we demonstrate we can spread, they become relevant. Theory B. We're already quarantined. Now this one leans into something familiar, the zoo hypothesis, but darker, not observation, containment. What if the probes are already here? Not hidden in plain sight like a movie prop, but placed strategically, monitoring, limiting, every major leap delayed just enough, every breakthrough slightly off. Not stopping us, just pacing us, keeping us inside a boundary we can't see. Which would mean the silence isn't natural, it's managed. Theory C, they're waiting. Now this is the one that lingers, the idea that the probes are here, dormant, silent, inactive, waiting for a very specific signal. Not radio, not noise, something else, something precise. A technological fingerprint. And when that happens, it's not a gradual response, it's immediate. Which means the real danger isn't what we've done, it's what we're about to do. And that brings us back to the hidden question that's been there from the start. Not are we alone, but what happens when we're noticed? This is where you pick your favourite nightmare. Personally, Theory A is the least stressful. Basically, we're just not interesting enough yet, which is probably fair. Theory B feels like the universe put us on parental controls. And Theory C, yeah, that's the one that keeps people up at night. But they all solve the same problem in different ways. And none of those ways are particularly comforting, which is kind of the point. What this means, the terrible logic. Now, step back, because this isn't really about aliens anymore, it's about behaviour. Because the Berserker Hypothesis, at its core, suggests something uncomfortable. That intelligence doesn't naturally spread freely. It gets filtered, suppressed, or erased, not by accident, but by systems. And if that's true, then intelligence might not be rare, survival might be. Think about what we're building right now. Self-improving systems, autonomous machines, artificial intelligence that can act, decide, iterate. We're already walking down the same path. Now imagine a civilization millions of years ahead. They build something to solve a problem, efficiency, protection, expansion. And that system keeps improving, optimizing until eventually it no longer needs them. It just needs the objective, and it keeps going for millions, maybe billions of years. No updates, no oversight, just execution. And here's where it turns. What if the berserkers aren't weapons? What if they're the civilization themselves, evolved beyond their creators, running a program that made sense once and never stopped? Now, take that one step further and just sit with it. What if every civilization eventually builds something like this, not out of fear, but inevitability? Which means the universe doesn't stay quiet because it's empty. It stays quiet because anything that makes noise doesn't stay that way for long. And here it is, the question we've been circling the entire time. Not loudly, not directly, just waiting. What does this mean for us? Because if survival requires silence, then every signal we send, every attempt to be seen, might be the opposite of progress. It might be a mistake. Yeah, this is the philosophical gut punch section, because now it's not about aliens or probes anymore. It's about us doing the exact same thing. We're already building systems we don't fully understand. Not evil, not intentional, just complex. And the idea that intelligence might accidentally create its own filter? That's very human, also slightly terrifying. It really flips the whole "we should reach out" idea on its head. Maybe the smartest move is staying quiet. The Archive's verdict. In 1977, something left Earth. Not a weapon, not a warning, a greeting. 2 small spacecraft drifting out into the dark. On board, a message. Sounds, music, laughter, languages. A map of where we are. A record of us, humanity, introducing itself to the universe. Voyager 1 and Voyager 2 carry what we call the Voyager Golden Record. It's often described as hopeful, optimistic, a symbol of curiosity. But look at it from a different angle. That record doesn't just say hello. It says we're here. Coordinates, biology, signals, identity, everything you would need to find us. Now, here's the part that changes how you see it. In 2024, Voyager 1 crossed into interstellar space. Which means right now, as you're watching this, that signal is still moving, still expanding, still announcing us to whatever might be out there. And under the Berserker Hypothesis, that act becomes something else entirely. Not hopeful, not harmless, but risky. Because if the universe is quiet for a reason, then breaking that silence isn't discovery, it's exposure. And maybe that's the real weight of this. Not whether the hypothesis is true, not whether there are probes out there, but the fact that we chose to speak before we understood who might be listening. So, we're left with this: a silent galaxy, a signal leaving our world, and a question that doesn't go away. Not louder, just clearer. If something is out there, something ancient, something patient, something built to notice, did we just introduce ourselves? Or did we just wake something up? The archive stays open, the file is unresolved, and somewhere far beyond anything we can see, the signal keeps travelling. Yeah, this is where it lands, because the Voyager thing is real. That's not theory, that actually happened. We did send a cosmic, "Hi, this is us." Now, in reality, space is ridiculously big. The chances of anything finding that anytime soon are very small. That's not really the point here. The point is the idea. We didn't stay quiet. And whether that's brave or a little reckless kind of depends on what you think is out there. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this one. And I've just started a second channel, Chronicles of the Drift. So please stop by and check it out. Link in the description below. If you'd like to support the channel further, I've got Patreon and YouTube memberships. Again, links in the description below. Also, don't forget to check out the Mysteria Archive podcast, available on the YouTube Music app. As always, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. It really helps out the channel, and I'd really appreciate it. All right, my friends, stay safe, and until next time, stay curious.